Hey, hi guys. Got a little bit of Hank Williams on the turntable here. And yeah, I'd like to have a little chat with you about my little country collection. Um, it's quite varied, and I've been into country for many, many years, and mainly outlaw country. And I suppose we're going to start with the first outlaw of country, and that'll be Mr. Hank Williams. Really adore this man. Died very young, but left us a huge legacy of some fantastic songs. And I've covered a couple of his songs. And I'd like to have a little chat about some of the songs on this album, which I think are all-time classics. And the first one would be Lovesick Blues. Again, a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant song. Most of these songs have been the sad ones that have been written about his wife. He believes she treated him pretty badly, but he was no angel. He was no angel. He liked to drink, and this album has been played so many times by me, and there's some absolutely brilliant songs here. As I said, Lovesick Blues, You're Gonna Change, My Bucket's Got a Hole in It, You Just Don't Like This Kind of Living, Cold, Cold Heart, Howling at the Moon, I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive. Unfortunately, he didn't. The Lost Highway, I've actually covered that. That's on my YouTube somewhere. And his version will always be my favourite version, even though Tom Petty did a great cover as well. And finishes off with Jambalaya, which is played regularly around our area. And so I'd like to start off with my first outlaw, and that is Mr. Hank Williams, a fantastic, fantastic singer, songwriter, and basically started it all, didn't he? You know, he started that kind of pop culture. Anyway, that is Mr. Hank Williams. My second album, again, will be another outlaw. It's Mr. Johnny Cash on the front. You can see his wife, Jim. And I've got many Johnny Cash albums, but I picked this one up. Picked it up brand new less than a year ago, and it's Johnny Cash at the Carousel Ballroom, April 24th, 1968. Now, this is a fantastic album. It's a double album. It's got a huge booklet in it. It's got a huge booklet in it, and it's discussing the actual gig that day. And it's a great little write-up in here as well. And so I was so chuffed. I was so over the moon when I came across this album. And there's nothing better than Johnny Cash live. And it's a double album. As I said, it starts off with Cocaine Blues, Long Black Veil, The Ballad of Ira Hayes. That's an absolutely fantastic song. Side 2, Guess Things Are Gonna Happen That Way. That's a great song. I love that one. Give My Love to Rose. Great song. We've come across this song in episode 1, I think, The Green Green Grass of Home, which we see in this country as like our national anthem in Wales because of Tom Jones. So of course, you know. Side 3, 40 Shades of Green. Third track, Jackson. That is a brilliant song, isn't it? And watching Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash doing this live, maybe on YouTube, I've seen it on a video. I love it, it's great. Then there's the June Carter medley, which is Wildwood Flower, Foggy Mountain Top, This Land Is Your Land. Again, this is, if I'm not mistaken, Woody Guthrie. Wabash, Cannonball, Worried Man Blues. And I think we've even spoke about Worried Man Blues, I think, on a Bob Dylan album. Side 4, Long-Legged Guitar Picking Man. That was new to me, that song was. But the other ones are not. Ring of Fire, absolutely adore that one. That is in my set list when I'm doing my gigs. Big River, Don't Take Your Guns to Town. And it finishes off, and it's probably, which I didn't realise, it looks like It was his encore song, and it's I Walk the Line. So that's my second album, and that's Johnny Cash at the Carousel Ballroom, April 24th, 1968, and it would have featured Jim Carter Cash. My third album, and without doubt, probably the biggest outlaw. And Johnny Cash rated this man, Merle Haggard, as probably one of the greatest songwriters and one of the greatest singers as well. And this album is called, Merle Haggard and the Strangers, Branded Man, I Threw Away the Rose. Brilliant. We all got to have a little bit of Merle Haggard in our lives. And I've got a real dear friend who sings a couple of his songs, and I absolutely love him. And I'll just mention a few songs on here. Branded Man, Loneliness is Eating Me Alive, Don't Get Me Married, Somewhere Between, You Don't Have a Very Far Way to Go, Gone Crazy, I Threw Away the Rose, My Hands Are Tied, Some of Us Never Learn, Long Black Limousine, Go Home, I Made the Prison Band. And that's Merle Haggard, and this is on the Capitol label. And I would say this is circa late 60s, maybe early 70s. It doesn't actually say on here. But anyway, Mr. Merle Haggard, he is one of my favourites. Now, Mr. Glen Campbell, he's not an outlaw, but he's probably one of the greatest guitar players, singers and songwriters this world will ever see. Very few people realise that he took over the guitar duties with the Beach Boys, and he actually he kind of transformed the Beach Boys with his guitar playing. He didn't stay with them long, but he's a very wanted man. He was a great session player, and I loved all his songs. And the first time I ever came across Glen Campbell, I was a young pre-teenager, and obviously that famous song, Rhinestone Cowboy. Loved that song. And so my little love affair with Glen Campbell has been on for years. I've got a few Glen Campbell albums. This is quite a new one, and it's on Capitol Records. I think they released it when he was getting quite ill. And some great songs in here. Wichita Linesman, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. Oh wow, yeah, Steve Cropper and Otis Redding. If You Go Away, what a brilliant song. Anne, Words, which was Barry Gibbs. Fate of a Man, which was written by Glen Campbell. Dreams of Everyday Housewife. The Straight Life, Sonny Curtis. Reason to Believe, and that's Tim Harding. And obviously Rod Stewart had a big hit with that one. You Better Sit Down Kids, Sonny Bono. And the last song on this would be That's Not Home. And that was written by Billy Graham. So I'm imagining the Billy Graham we're talking about is the Evangelist. This is a great album. I've got many more Glen Campbell albums with his classics on it, but it's just nice to have a listen to this one of him doing other people's songs, and he does them so well. Anyway, Wichita Linesman, Glen Campbell. This is on my turntable quite often. Okay then. This song, this album is Jessie Buckley, and she acted in a film called The Wild Rose, and her name in it was Rose Lynn Harlan. Now this movie wasn't made in Nashville, wasn't made in Texas. This is made in Glasgow, and it's about a country scene in Glasgow. It's quite a modern film, so you can probably pick it up on Netflix or Amazon. The album is truly brilliant. It's truly brilliant. I listened to the album before I watched the movie. I picked the album up in a local store. It just looked great. The album cover just looked absolutely brilliant. And I thought, what's all this about then, So I had a little look at the background of it. First song, Country Girl, which is quite famous. Outlaw of the Mind, Born to Run, Peace in the House, Angel from Montgomery, All Right to Be Wrong, When I Reach the Place I'm Going, Cigarettes Row, Glasgow, No Place Like Home, Robbing the Bank of Life, That's the View from Here, and The Boulder to Birmingham. And if I'm not mistaken, a couple of these songs in here are quite famous. I've heard Angel from Montgomery, and I've heard Willie Nelson sing this one, Merle Haggard, and I think I've heard Chris Christopherson sing that one. Country Girl is quite famous as well. Anyway, that's a great little album, and it's a great movie to watch as well. Give it a go. And the lady in it, she sings all the songs. Jessie Buckley, great British actress. Certainly one of the Highwaymen, Waylon Jennings. I can't get enough of this man. He was about a lot longer than Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. He was about in the 50s, and he was a great singer and a very suave looking guy as well, you know. But he did become one of the Outlaws, but his guitar playing, his Telecaster style playing with that black and white Paisley Telecaster of his, loved it, especially when you watch the Highwaymen. And the Highwaymen were Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, and Willie Nelson. And I will be talking about most of those. I love the Highwaymen, and this was one of the early Waylon Jennings vinyls, and I can see on the back here I've got a £5 label, so I probably picked this up at a second-hand store somewhere, and there's some great songs in here. I'll tell you what they are now. Love of the Common People, The Days of Sand and Shovels, great song. MacArthur Park, Delia's Gone, Johnny Cash covered that one. Walk Out of My Mind, Anita, You Were Dreaming. Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line, Just to Satisfy You, I Got You, Something Wrong in California. Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town. That's sort of Kenny Rogers, isn't it? Brown Eyed Handsome Man, if I'm not mistaken, that's Chuck Berry. And the final song in here is Singer of Sad Songs. And this is released on the RCA label. And this, I've actually got the date in the back here. This was released in 1970. And the picture of Waylon Jennings would have been a picture of him probably in the early 60s. Great Telecaster player, great singer, and one of the Outlaws, and one of the Highwaymen. Well, we've done two Highwaymen, and this is the third. Mr. Willie Nelson, and sorry, it's early in the Sunday morning. I haven't had my cup of coffee yet. Willie Nelson, love this guy again. As I said, he's been writing some great songs over 50 years or more. But you know what? He covers some great songs as well. And one of the songs he covers is one of my favourites, and I watch it regular. And he's on a British chat show playing and singing this song, and it's called Always on My Mind. And I don't want to degrade Elvis Presley, but have a little listen to Willie Nelson doing that song. It's brilliant. This album has got a few covers on it, and he's doing a brilliant job on it. And it's the first track will be Help Me Make It Through the Night, classic. I Love You Because, Heartaches by Numbers, Both Sides Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's Joni Mitchell. Have I Told You Lately That I Love You, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, Bring Me Sunshine, What Now My Love, Born to Lose, Everybody's Talking, and I think that would have been Nielsen. Fire and Rain, I know, which is a James Taylor song. Funny How Time Slips Away, that would have been a Waylon song. Yesterday is a Beatles song, and Pretty Paper. So this again was released on RCA, and again this would have been very early 70s. a great little album. I've got many more Willie Nelson albums, and I will be bringing them out. This is just a small selection of my country albums. So Willie Nelson, One of the Outlaws and One of the Highwaymen. Who doesn't like Kenny Rogers? Very difficult to pinpoint him in the country era. Certainly not an outlaw, or is he an outlaw? Does he fit the Nashville scene? Is he a crooner? Could be all those, couldn't he? And he's written some brilliant songs, and he's been about many, many years. And again, I discovered him back probably in the late 70s when I was a teenager. And this song has got, they found a demo, and it's a recent demo after he had died. And so this is a new album of newly found songs which were found in a recording studio. And probably could shock if you don't know what's in the album, but the first track is Roxy Music song called Love Is a Drug. Second track, I Wish It Would Rain. Am I Too Late with Kim Keys. Tell Me That You Love Me with Dolly Parton. Straight Into Love with Jamie O'Neill. Side 2, and I think I bought this album looking at that song, because every song is a classic on you. Don't get me wrong, they're all brilliant albums. But he does a version of Eric Clapton's Wonderful Tonight, and it is spine-chilling. It's brilliant. Catching the Grasshoppers, That's Love to Me, I Will Wait for You, and Goodbye. And it's the executive producers are Wanda Rogers, Ken Leviton, and Jason Henke. This was a really expensive album. If you can look closely by there, it says £37, and if you're in America, that's close to $50. I didn't pay that for it. It was on sale, and I think I paid something, probably about £12 or £15, but worth every penny. Kenny Rogers, and it's called Kenny Rogers, Life's Like His Song. Let's go back to my all-time favourite, Johnny Cash. And towards the end of his life, Rick Rubin produced and recorded Johnny Cash on his last 4 studio albums. And I must say, he brought Johnny Cash to a new audience. And some of the songs, I cover some of the songs which he actually does on these later albums, songs like Solitary Man, Personal Jesus, which was Depeche Mode. Solitary Man was Neil Diamond. This album is quite a dark album, and I'll just give you a little track listing of it. It's called Johnny Cash, and this is American 5, so this was the 5th album, so my apologies for that. American 5, and it's called Ain't No Grave. And I've covered Ain't No Grave with a blues band I was in many years back called the Electric Revelators, and it's on YouTube somewhere, and we're at a blues festival somewhere, and it opens up with Ain't No Grave, and absolutely love this song, and it's traditional. There's no actual writer to it. Redemption Day, the second song, For the Good Times. Corinthians, well, that was a Bible passage. Can't help but wonder where I'm bound. He's thinking a lot now about his demise. Satisfied Mind, I Don't Hurt anymore. Cool Water, Last Night I Had the Strangest Dream, and Aloha Ho. And that is Cash 5. I've actually got all these Rick Rubin albums. They're not all on vinyl, they're on CDs. And you know what? We're lucky to have CDs as well, because there are some artists and bands where you just can't get the albums and they've re-released the CDs. But we'll talk about that again. Anyway, Cash 5. Another favourite of mine, again, Charlie Rich. Another one you can't really classify, can you? You can't say he was an outlaw. You can't say he was Nashville. You can't say he was Texas. He was obviously country and a great ballad singer, great songwriter as well. And I know he had his problems. And obviously one of his most famous songs, and I do love that song, and it's called Behind Closed Doors. And the tracks on this one are Every Time You Touch Me. It's just a marvellous ballad. All Over. A Little Bit Here. A Mellow Melody. Since I Fell For You. Side 2. Pass On By. Rendezvous. You and I. And Midnight Blues. I've actually got a couple of Charlie Rich songs, but this one hasn't got Behind Closed Doors. I've got another one of those albums, and later down this little journey of ours, I'll be bringing up some more Charlie Rich and other artists from the country era. This is the singer and the songwriter who started it all. And you Americans should be really proud of this guy. It's Jimmie Rogers, the yodeling railwayman. And he's always been there. Someone I really didn't check out. Then I read his biography on the tough life he had. Died a young man, died of TB, and he had TB all the way through his recording career. He was, you know, he had a tough life. This album is obviously it's new. It's a double album. It's a great double album, and it's fantastic that it's been released, and us country lovers can pick it up and have a little listen and have a what's it all about, you know. And there's a lovely little write-up here, aren't there? Some lovely little pictures. And it's a double album, as I said. Some of the tracks in here: Train Whistle Blues, Treasures Untold, Jimmy's Texas Blues, Jimmy the Kid, Blue Yodel number 12. We all love a bit of Jimmie Rogers yodeling. Nothing better. Brings a smile to your face. Side 4, Looking for a New Mama, Memphis Yodel, Mother, Queen of My Heart, I'm Sorry We Met. Another yodel number called Blue Yodel number 3. Tuck Away My Lonesome Blues, Desert Blues. And Jimmie Rogers, he would have been recording late 1920s, early 1930s. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he died, I think he had just maybe past 30. He didn't make the 27 club. But yes, I'll always have a little dip in. I'll dip my toes in to one of America's greatest icons, Mr. Jimmie Rogers, the yodeling railwayman. I'm going to finish off with another singer, another country singer, another great American. Died young again, not died young, but died far too early. And I do like him, and I do love his songs, and that's John Denver. You can't go to a pub or a club in Swansea or South Wales and hear his famous song Country Road. Everyone sings it. I love that song. I'm Leaving on a Jet Plane. Annie's song. And again, there's a little tag in here. I paid £1 for this. I paid the pricely sum of £1, and that was worth, that's the best £1 I probably spent in a second-hand store. Again, it's a gatefold sleeve, and the album is called John Denver Back Home Again. And I'll just read out some of the songs on here. Side A, Back Home Again, On the Road, Grandma's Feathered Bed, Matthew, Thank God I'm a Country Boy, The Music Is You, his famous song on side B, Annie's Song, It's Up to You, Cool and Green and Shady, Eclipse, Sweet Surrender, and the last track is called This Old Guitar. And that's my last album for this episode. Cost me the pricey sum of £1, and I very well spent £1. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in episode 4 next week. And we're going to be talking about, I've been switching from America to Britain. So next week is going to be British. And it's my late teen years when I discovered the new wave of British heavy metal. And there's going to be my little collection there and a little chat about some of the songs, some of the albums, and some of the characters in it. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you next week.
Asked me to go out on a hunting spree, 'cause there ain't a hound dog in this state that can hold a light to me. I eat 3 bones for dinner today, then fried with 3 of cool. You got me chasing rabbits, scratching fleas, and howling at